Welcome to Soul Spirit Stories, where every heartbeat tells a story and every story touches the soul. Today's tale is one that will move you deeply, a story of love, loss, and an unexpected miracle born from compassion. So sit back, open your heart, and let the story unfold. It was another quiet morning at Silver Pine's corporate tower. The glass windows sparkled under the soft sunlight, and the polished floors gleamed like mirrors. Inside, employees hurried through the lobby, their footsteps echoing against the marble floor. But among the suits and polished shoes walked a man who went almost unnoticed, Daniel Hayes, a janitor and a single father. Daniel wore his usual faded blue uniform, pushing a cleaning cart down the hall. His hands were rough, and his eyes carried the tiredness of long nights. Yet behind that exhaustion lived a gentle soul, one who loved his daughter, Lily, more than anything in the world. Lily was 8 years old, bright, curious, and always smiling. Every morning, Daniel dropped her at school before heading to work. And every evening, she'd wait at the small apartment window until she saw her father coming home. Daniel didn't have much, just enough to pay rent and buy food. But what he lacked in wealth, he made up for in love. He would often say to Lily, "We may not have everything, sweetheart, but as long as we have each other, we have enough." That day, however, something felt different. As Daniel mopped the lobby floor, he noticed the CEO's little girl, Emma, walking hand in hand with her nanny. Emma was about Lily's age, always dressed in a pretty dress, her hair perfectly tied with ribbons. Daniel often smiled at her from afar, admiring the innocence children shared regardless of their worlds. But today Emma's face looked pale. Her eyes were red, and her lips trembled. As the nanny got distracted by a phone call, Emma suddenly broke free and ran across the lobby straight toward Daniel. She crashed into his legs, sobbing uncontrollably. Daniel froze, confused and alarmed. He bent down gently. Hey, it's okay. What's wrong, sweetheart?" Emma looked up, tears streaming down her cheeks. Her voice shook as she whispered, "They hurt my mum. She's dying." Daniel's heart stopped. For a moment, the sounds around him disappeared. The chatter, the phones, the footsteps. All he could see was a terrified little girl trembling in front of him. "What do you mean, honey? Who hurt your mom?" he asked softly. Emma hiccuped through tears. "Daddy's friends. They were yelling at her. She fell when she wouldn't wake up. They told me to go play, but I saw her on the floor." Daniel's blood ran cold. The CEO's wife was in trouble, and no one seemed to know. He looked around the lobby, but everyone was too busy to notice. He gently took Emma's hand. "Come on, show me where she is." Emma led him to the private elevator reserved for executives. Daniel hesitated. Janitors weren't allowed there. But one look at Emma's tearful face was enough. He stepped in. When the elevator doors opened on the top floor, the hallway was eerily silent. At the far end, the door to the CEO's office stood slightly open. Daniel could hear muffled voices inside, angry, panicked. He told Emma to stay back and quietly pushed the door open. What he saw made his heart sink. Mrs. Carter, the CEO's wife, lay on the floor beside the desk, her face pale and her hand clutching her chest. 3 men stood nearby, Mr. Carter himself and 2 board members. Their faces were filled with tension. "She's not breathing right," one of them said. "We need to call an ambulance." "No," Mr. Carter barked. "No one calls anyone. This can't get out. Do you understand? If the media finds out, it'll destroy everything." Daniel couldn't believe what he was hearing. A woman was fighting for her life, and her husband cared only about his reputation. Without thinking twice, Daniel rushed forward. "Move aside!" The men turned in shock. "What are you doing here?" Mr. Carter shouted. Daniel knelt beside Mrs. Carter, feeling for a pulse. It was faint, but still there. He remembered the CPR training he'd taken years ago when he worked at a hospital as a janitor before his wife passed away. "She needs air now," he said firmly. Ignoring the CEO's protests, he started chest compressions. 30 steady pushes, then rescue breaths. Again and again, the men stood frozen, unsure whether to stop him or help. Finally, Mrs. Carter gasped, a shallow breath, but enough to show signs of life. Daniel looked up. "Call an ambulance, now!" This time, one of the board members obeyed, dialing 911 with shaking hands. Minutes later, paramedics rushed in. They lifted Mrs. Carter onto a stretcher and carried her out. As they passed, Emma ran up to her mother, clutching her hand and crying, "Mommy, please don't go." Daniel gently pulled her back, whispering, "They'll take care of her, okay? She'll be fine." The CEO stood speechless, his face pale. He looked at Daniel, then at the paramedics. For once, his voice failed him. Hours later, after the chaos had settled, Daniel found himself sitting on a bench outside the hospital. Emma sat beside him, holding his hand tightly. She hadn't let go since the moment they left the office. When the doctor finally came out, Mr. Carter rushed to him. "How is she?" "She's stable now," the doctor said. "If it wasn't for the man who performed CPR, she wouldn't have made it. Whoever he is, he saved her life." Mr. Carter turned toward Daniel. For the first time, the arrogant CEO looked humbled. You saved my wife." Daniel shook his head quietly. Anyone would have done the same. But Emma spoke up softly. "Daddy, he didn't care about the rules. He just helped Mommy when no one else did." The CEO's eyes glistened as he looked at the janitor, the man he had never once noticed in the building. "Thank you," he said sincerely. "You didn't just save her. You saved me too." Days passed and Mrs. Carter recovered fully. Emma often visited Daniel and Lily, bringing little gifts and treats. The two girls became fast friends. One afternoon, Daniel received an unexpected call from the CEO's office. Nervous, he went upstairs. Mr. Carter stood by the window, holding a letter in his hand. "Daniel," he began, "I owe you more than words. You saved my wife's life and my daughter's faith in humanity. I've been blind for too long, thinking success meant power. But that day, you reminded me what it truly means to be human." He handed Daniel the letter. It was a job offer for head of maintenance with triple the salary, along with full benefits for his daughter's education. Daniel was speechless. "Sir, I don't know what to say." "Just say yes," Mr. Carter smiled. "You deserve this." Tears welled up in Daniel's eyes. He thought of all the nights he had stayed awake, worrying about bills, about Lily's future. And now, life had rewarded him, not because he chased wealth, but because he chose kindness. Months later, during the company's annual charity event, Mr. Carter took the stage. With his wife and daughter by his side, he shared the story of the janitor who saved a life. He ended with these words: "In a world where people often look up to power, let us never forget the ones who quietly hold us together, the unseen heroes among us." As applause filled the room, Daniel sat in the audience with Lily beside him, smiling humbly. After the event, Emma ran up to him and said, "My mom says you're our guardian angel." Daniel chuckled softly. "Maybe I'm just someone who was in the right place at the right time." But deep inside, he knew it was more than that. It was fate, a moment where compassion crossed paths with courage. From that day on, Daniel and Mr. Carter's families grew close. Emma and Lily often played together, and Mrs. Carter treated Daniel like a brother. The walls that once separated the rich and the poor began to fade, replaced by respect and gratitude. One evening, as Daniel tucked Lily into bed, she asked, "Daddy, do you think angels really exist?" Daniel smiled. "Yes, sweetheart. Sometimes they wear wings, and sometimes they wear janitor uniforms." Lily giggled softly, then closed her eyes, holding his hand as she drifted to sleep. Daniel looked out the window at the quiet city lights. He thought about that day, how everything changed in an instant, how a child's cry led him to save a life, and how love, no matter where it comes from, always finds its way. And in that silence, a single tear rolled down his cheek, not of sadness but of peace, because in helping someone else, he had found the true meaning of purpose. This was not just a story about a janitor or a CEO. It was about humanity, the invisible threads that connect us all, reminding us that every act of kindness creates ripples that reach far beyond what we can see. Thank you for watching Soul Spirit Stories, where we bring you tales that touch the heart and awaken the spirit. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because somewhere out there, another story of kindness is waiting to be told, and we'll be here to share it with you.